Massive news for the Phoenix Suns and great news for the Phoenix Suns fans as one of their favorites is looking to get some playing time this upcoming season. Bol Bol looks to be one of the favorites for new head coach Mike Budenholzer, and he spoke about that during Suns Media Day. And we're going to break that all down for you guys right here on Suns Digest. My name is CJ Pierre. Thanks for joining us, y'all. It has been a wild past few days as we are right into the thick of it. Day one of training camp on Tuesday, Suns Media Day on Monday, talking to the players, hearing from head coach Mike Budenholzer, and we are right in the thick of it as we head into the beginning of the season. We're going to talk about the news that Bol Bol might be seeing himself in the Suns rotation this upcoming season before we get into the details. We noticed that about 81% of you guys are watching our videos, and we appreciate that, but you haven't subscribed to the channel just yet. If you want to make sure you're keeping up to date with all the latest Suns news and updates, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing that we're going to have cooking for you guys. Now, let's talk about Suns fans' favorite player, Bol Bol. And it looks like he is going to see some playing time this season. And not just spot minutes, not just, playing time here and there. It sounds like he is going to be getting some significant playing time and actually play a key role in this Suns rotation. We already know about the big three: Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. They're obviously the three best players on the team. They're going to be out there. Yusuf Nurkic is the starting center, and Tyus Jones, the new addition, veteran minimum free agent addition, as the starting point guard. But what about the bench? We're going to get into a little bit more about the Suns' depth, but it looks like head coach Mike Budenholzer likes him some Bol Bol and actually believes that he is going to play a factor in this upcoming season. This post coming from Evan Siddery, who was there at Suns Media Day yesterday. Suns head coach Mike Budenholzer said they plan to experiment playing Bol Bol as a jumbo stretch four alongside Yusuf Nurkic. Bol will contribute in Phoenix's rotation as a key member of the second unit. Now that's just the reporting there from Evan, but we're gonna get into exactly what head coach Mike Budenholzer had to say about Bol Bol. This is what he said during the press conference during his media session at Media Day. There's a lot of positive support on how Bol impacts our roster. When you look at the analytics, when Bol and Yusuf Nurkic played together, those were some of the best numbers last year. We're excited to bring him back. Now, we've talked about, the impact that Bol Bol had on the Suns fan base. Every time he enters the game, Suns fans got up on their feet cheering him. He's definitely one of the fan favorites. So if Mike Budenholzer sees the kind of impact that he has on the court in those, little spurts that he played with Yusuf Nurkic last year, then it looks like he wants to then expand upon that even further. Now, talking about they had to re-sign Bol Bol to bring him back to the roster and how important that was. And Bol kind of agreed during his own media session. He says, they believe in me. It was no brainer in terms of him coming back to Phoenix. So he kind of re signed with the knowledge that he was actually going to factor more so in this rotation. And I think it's a great idea, and I think it's going to be a great fit. Now, if we take a look at Bol Bol's numbers, particularly last year, obviously he played in spurts under former head coach Frank Vogel. Didn't necessarily see a ton of playing time, but when he was out there, I believe he was effective. You take a look at his points per game, average 5.2 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, again, in very limited playing time. Also shooting well from the field at 61%, shooting 42% from 3-point range. That is kind of the really impressive thing about Bol Bol. He's actually a pretty solid shooter, and I think that he has a lot more to give and a lot more potential to unleash out there if he's given the opportunity to go out there and prove it and go out there and actually play. And I think that was something that Frank Vogel just didn't allow him to do. Again, just kind of played him sporadically. Didn't necessarily play him with any level of consistency. And now Bull, has his struggles, particularly on the defensive end. He's not necessarily he's not a polished offensive player. He doesn't have necessarily like a go-to move or like, give him the ball and, let him cook. That's not the kind of player that he is. He's a player that's active. He's a player that gets out in transition, likes to attack the basket, slashes to the rim, is a really good help defender. I think that's kind of more so where his um, size and his advantages allow him to assist the team defensively, and if there's a plan to play him and Yusuf Nurkic together more often, then I think that that is going to be a valuable asset for the Suns, particularly a team that was really destroyed on the glass by the Minnesota Timberwolves in the playoffs last season. So I think having Bol Bol see some more playing time over the course of the regular season, factor into the rotation. That's one of the better things that I think the Suns are going to have at their you know you know a weapon in their arsenal, and I think that's kind of big news, especially when we talk about the depth of this team and what kind of Suns team we're going to look at moving forward. When you take a look at Bol Bol, this Suns team is deep, especially when we're talking Bol Bol getting minutes, and I think that is a very important thing to look at. We kind of already broke down exactly what the starting five is going to look like, but I believe this Suns bench is really going to be where they're going to have advantages over some of these other teams. Now, first of all, we know who the starters are going to be. They decided to take a picture together to kind of solidify everything. There you see them. Tyus Jones, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Yusuf Nurkic, Kevin Durant. That is your Phoenix Suns starting five. Mike Budenholzer mentioned that in an interview with NBA.com. We talked about that. And we have been talking about it here on this podcast ever since Tyus Jones got signed. He is the natural fit to be the starter, be the starting point guard with these guys. Allow Bradley Beal and Devin Booker more of an opportunity to play off the ball, not necessarily have to be the facilitators or the decision makers. Then, of course, you have Nurkic and Kevin Durant at the 5 and 4. Kevin Durant, one of the best scorers in the NBA, solid defender. And then Yusuf Nurkic looking slimmer these days. We've talked about him, and also Yusuf Nurkic improving his 3-point shot as looking to possibly improve upon that. But I think, again, when we're talking about what Bol Bol could potentially bring if he factors into this rotation, this Suns team is deep. There's guys, I believe, at every level that are going to contribute. I believe the Suns are going to roll out, particularly for the majority of the regular season, with a 10-man rotation. And that's wild to think of in the NBA, where you see mostly bench are shortened. You see rotations capping out around like 9 to 8 guys, particularly in the postseason. But I think Mike Budenholzer likes the idea of keeping these guys fresh, knows about the injury concerns with Beal, Booker, and Durant, wants to keep them healthy, and he's going to play as I think as many players as he has at his disposal. We take a look at the Phoenix Suns depth chart right now. This coming from ESPN.com. You see the starting lineup there: Jones, Booker, Beal, Durant, and Nurkic. But if we take a look at some of these guys on the bench now, ESPN kind of has it, laid out a little differently. But if we take a look at the point guard spot, Monte Morris, who was signed as on the veteran minimum, is the backup point guard. He will see minutes in this rotation. Grayson Allen, who was a starter last year, he's probably going to be the primary scorer coming off the bench. He will see minutes. Royce O'Neal, one of the better wing defenders, probably the best one-on-one defender that the Suns have on this team. He's going to see minutes, and then Mason Plumlee, the another veteran minimum free agent signing as your backup center. He's going to factor in the rotation. Now, Mike Budenholzer, if you see in the fourth line, there's Bol Bol. I believe he is more suited in that second line and will be the kind of the primary other big man that will be in the rotation based on what Mike Budenholzer is saying and based on what Bol Bol was expecting. But there's a lot of other names to factor in to this Suns team. You got Damian Lee and Josh Okogie, guys who opted out of their player option to re-sign with the team for more lucrative contracts this season. They are probably going to see themselves in some games. They've already been there. Josh Kogi, Damian Lee have seen significant minutes in big games. And then we got to talk about the rookies on the team. One of the names that you don't see, that you got to kind of really look for right there in the third line, two names are the rookies, Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro. Ryan Dunn, the first round pick that the Suns decided to select when they traded down in the NBA draft, and then Oso Ighodaro, the second round pick. Now, we've heard about how much the Suns love those guys all offseason, and I believe they're also going to find themselves in positions to find some playing time as well. So I think this is probably the deepest this Suns team has been in a really long time. And we haven't had a deep team to root for here in Phoenix since we added Kevin Durant and traded away all those pieces. But when you look at this roster as it's constructed right now, they're pieces that fit. And I honestly think if you just look at it from top to bottom, you've got a team of 14 players that if you throw them out on the court, you can feel that they're going to have an impact. Maybe if you just want to cap it at 12, excluding the rookies, even then, 12 guys that you feel like you can reliably play significant minutes if they have to, particularly if there's an injury or something like that. I think that is a valuable commodity to have in the NBA, especially in this second apron world that the Suns are living in. So you've got Bol Bol looking to see some significant playing time. I think that hints at a 10-man rotation for the Phoenix Suns. And that's great because this Suns team is already deep and probably the deepest Suns team that we've had since the NBA Finals run. And that's saying a lot, especially when this is championship or bust for the Suns this year. But that's just what I think. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you guys think. What do you think about Bol Bol seeing significant playing time with this team? And what do you think about the team's depth? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you want to make sure you're keeping up to date with all the latest Suns news and updates, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. It's been a great time for you guys. We're going to be continuing to break stuff down as training camp continues. We're going to talk about the preseason games. Can't wait to get into this regular season. It's going to be a fun ride. Again, my name is CJ Pierre. This has been Suns Digest. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time. And go, Phoenix Suns.